And now it's my pleasure to introduce the 2020 Star Women in Convenience Leadership Panel. We live in a time when new research is showing that the pandemic is having a disproportionate impact on the careers of women. That's why we felt it was especially important this year to include a panel discussion as part of this year's event. We really wanted to capture the lived experiences and insights of women in the convenience industry. So first, let's meet our panelists. I have Hélène Drollin, Vice President, Operations, Western Canada Division for Circle K. Leslie Gordon, Category Portfolio Manager in Convenience Retail for Suncor Energy Petro-Canada. Robbie Mulder, District Manager for Little Short Stop Stores. Olga Pejon, Director of Marketing and Strategy for BG Fuels. And Laurie Smith, Marketing and Communications Lead Canada for 7-Eleven Canada. All right, thank you everyone for being here, and let's jump in. My first question is, Laurie, is for you. You'd said that you didn't anticipate a career in convenience when you were recruited as a management trainee some 30 decades ago. Yet here you are leading the communications and marketing for one of the biggest convenience players in the world. No doubt you have had an interesting experience in 2020. Can you tell me a little bit how work has changed for you in the last 8 months?
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, for sure. The change has certainly been significant, as it has for everyone. And it's evolved from the initial pandemic stages where everyone's role became all hands on deck to help our store teams be able to change quickly to meet the new requirements, as well as to find new ways to serve their customers in their neighborhoods. It's since evolved to really staying in tune with customers' needs and ensure an appropriate tone as they navigate the change and continue to change. So what's changed for me and my team is really short-term, frequent plans and adjustments are key. Agile production and partnerships are critical. And consistent consumer feedback of how we're doing has really dramatically changed how I and my team go to business. I would say the most positive change has been the intentional increase in communication. Our team is closer and has collaborated more effectively than ever before. The requirement to focus on changing our business and supporting our stores essentially in real time has shown us how agile we can be and identified work really that is and is not critical. And with the team working remotely, I've had to shift my focus to be more in tune with them and how they're doing both on a personal and a work level. So I try to check in more and more informally to ensure everyone stays connected and that I create the spaces for the team to bring forward their concerns and challenges that maybe they wouldn't bring forward in an email or initiating a call for. So it's definitely been challenging, again, as it has for everyone. Our go-to business has definitely changed. And within the tragic impacts of the pandemic, there are positives in that as a business, I believe we're closer to the customer. And the journey we've taken as a team, I believe, has brought us closer than business as usual could have.
Hélène, you've also talked a little bit about change in our interview for the magazine, and you're in charge of all aspects for Circle K's Western Canada Dealers Network. And you said that what you love about this industry is that the challenges are never the same, and that this year more than ever. So even before the pandemic, convenience was a sector that was constantly under disruption and reinvention. So how do you motivate and how do you get your team to deal with this change?
Yeah, for sure. I got an unexpected challenge this year with this pandemic, and how we kept the teams motivated. We kept focus on our main objectives and making sure our customer was happy and finding all the products they were looking for in store. So what we did is that we ensured the team was results driven, and every time we were seeing the results we were getting and the feedback we were getting from our customers, we felt that we were on track and we were meeting their expectations. And I realized that my team was really focused on that. And what was the best driver for my team is to see that the customer was happy and we were making our sales plan, and we achieve amazing results this year. And we really got together. We are a very good and strong team in Western Canada, but through this pandemic we came together stronger and we worked together to make things happen in stores. And we had to regroup and really challenge ourselves about what do we need to do? And it was an unexpected challenge, as I said, when I started. And we didn't know what to do, what were the priorities, what the customer would expect, and where would we better service our customers. So we really got together and we made sure that we were really working strongly together, and we were keeping focus on what matters. Because at first everybody was scared, what is going to happen, how is the economy going to develop in through this pandemic, and what will happen to us. So we really focused on reassuring the teams, give them a focus, and keep them driven on the results, and that's what made a big difference for them. And we also ensured to make sure that we were having frequent meetings to keep the team together, to give them space to chat and express their feelings and what they were going through, even personally. So we got closer to our customers. And I agree with Lori, we got closer to our customer. We even got better with our customer. I believe we are a stronger company now, but we even got closer to our people, our staff. We got to know them more closely and get to, everybody was sharing, I have health issues, I have this personal issue that we were not aware before, because this situation was not there. So we got to know our people to make sure that we were supporting them properly. So we gave them a lot of space to do what they had to do, make their decisions, and we gave them a lot of space to work at home and to work remotely. And we even opened the office for some who for the ones from the team who needed to come to the office for any needs they had, and even meet with some people. So we really became a stronger company and a stronger team. And that's how we kept them motivated, by listening to them and give them a chance to express themselves, and keep the focus. When something like this happens, if you don't want to go crazy, you just need to keep your head focused on what matters, and then you reach your targets. And that's what happened in Western Canada for us.
Thank you. And yeah, we talk about all the change this year, but the industry itself has gone through an incredible amount of change. And Robbie, you've seen this business evolve in a whole new way, because you started as a part-time clerk, is that right, in a local C-store, and today you're district manager for Little Short Stop. So you help the company develop strategies for growth and for customer satisfaction. And maybe can you give us some perspective on how some of the challenges and of working in a C-store have changed over the last few decades?
When I first started, Michelle, I was afraid of people. I would cross the street for fear that what people might think or say. Today in our world, and what Shortstop has done for me, is I'm looking in people's eyes. I want to make contact. I want to see what they're touching, what they're feeling, what they think compared to what was going on 10, 20, I almost going to say 30, 40 years ago. Everybody still wants what they're looking for. And if I can't have it or don't have it, I got to find a way to get it for them. And the customer is high needs, they're demanding, they're looking for what we can help them with. If we don't have it, we try and bring it in. No day is ever the same. Every day brings new challenges. My peers were talking about the communication has evolved and gotten better. We have daily conference calls. Our president speaks to our managers regular and often. And it's all about finding out what the customer is looking for. I think of what we carried 40 years ago and what we're carrying today, and it keeps evolving and coming back. The customer is like you and I. What can we do to make them happy?
Yeah, and we especially saw a lot of the customer needs change during the pandemic, where they were coming back to convenience to get some of those items that they used to come to convenience for, like their milk and their eggs and their butter and all of those daily needs. And Leslie, for you too, you've talked before about how you love the convenience industry, that it's constantly innovating to meet the needs of customers. And you've been with Petro-Canada for 9 years now, steering long-term strategic development and category marketing for C-stores. What would you say, what's your favorite project of your career? What are you most proud of at the moment?
So one of my most favorite projects, it actually extends beyond Petro-Canada. And what it is a few years ago, I really noticed there were a lot of vendors coming to us, knocking on our doors, trying to get meetings. And really, there's just not enough time in the day to meet with that many vendors. And a lot of them really weren't prepared. They didn't have the tools to really present the type of information that we needed. So I came up with a concept which we kind of called affectionately vendor speed dating, where we really provided some of these small and newer vendors a very extensive list of questions, the type of information that we would be looking for in order to list a product. And it's something that it seems very simple, but a lot of the vendors didn't know some of the things that we were looking for. So we provided these smaller vendors with this list and gave them the opportunity to answer those questions. And then we put aside a couple days every year where we just see vendor after vendor after vendor. We spend about a half an hour with each vendor and then give them like 15 minutes where we have a discussion of, where maybe are there some gaps, things that we would be looking for. And it's worked out very well. Some of the vendors have been able to come back, be it a year or two later, but really come back with a presentation and a product that we were able to list. So it worked out well for them. And then in addition to that, we adapted a version of this for the OCSA trade show, and then later for the CICC trade show. So I've been very proud to be able to do something that helps not just Petro-Canada, but some small new vendors and then the industry as well. And especially at a time like this with COVID, we're all talking about local vendors. It's really giving some of these smaller vendors the opportunity to succeed. And it's even more important with COVID.
And I mean, I guess so much of that is being able to connect and make those connections with people in person, as you say, because it's hard to see everybody at the same time. And Olga, when you started in this business and you were in the middle of completing your MBA at the time, and you were compelled to stay, I think you were doing a summer job with Imperial Oil at the time, but you were compelled to stay in part because of the people. And thinking from a mentoring aspect, how important were those relationships that you were making then to get you where you are today? Like who mentored you in the early stages of your career, and maybe what did you learn from that?
Sure. I mean, Michelle, I think personal relationships and strong interpersonal skills are really key in this industry. Working in retail involves day-to-day touch points with all different types of people from, we've heard our colleagues here talk about customers, suppliers, retailers and their staff, and internal departments. So really understanding how to work across functions and view the business from all those different angles, set goals and priorities is really what's key. So relying on those strong personal connections is really fundamental, I believe, to achieving personal, team, and business success. From a mentoring perspective, I learned this lesson very early on in my career from someone who, just by a twist of fate, is actually now my current manager. And the most important thing that I learned from him early on is that it's really imperative to respect the people that you work with, really to listen to their needs, understand their goals and aspirations, and to work together to do what's best for them and also what's best for the business. To this day, he treats everyone with the same level of courtesy and respect, regardless of their role or their position. And he certainly knows how to get the best out of people in every situation. And that's something that really has stayed with me for all these years. And as an aside, he also taught me never to be late. He always says, the train leaves at 8, you better be on it.
Good lesson. That's a great lesson to know in this business. And then just to stick with the theme of mentoring, Lori, as a leader, how do you give back? Like, what does mentoring mean to you now, and how are you fostering the next generation of leaders in your business?
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, I have a very young team, and I try to stay very present on their varying needs and stages of experience and development. Personally, I believe that your direct manager is the most significant relationship to have in both personal and professional growth, especially in a large organization. So it's a responsibility and a privilege, really, to try and approach every day being fully present to what they're saying and what their needs may be. I find the key is really to focus on the business outcomes and position it in a business environment, which provides an environment of trust and continual growth, where setbacks are really learning opportunities and the underlying questions and concerns are really able to be surfaced there. And And I think also where what I try to do is really be willing to have the hard, uncomfortable discussions in a manner that's really received as coaching and as a supporter of growth versus criticism. I think the worst thing that we can do as leaders is not have those, honest discussions. And those are the ones that really help those young leaders move forward. So it's a daily challenge and a privilege. And it's also what inspires me to continually grow as a leader and continuing to grow my skills in that manner. Thank you.
Excellent, thanks. And just I'm thinking about the skills that we learn in different sectors and how we bring those to the convenience business as leaders and as mentors and those sorts of things. So Helen, maybe you've worked in, prior to coming to convenience, you worked in cosmetics, fashion, and fuel. And what do you think, what's the biggest difference between the other channels that you've worked in convenience, and what skills have you brought to convenience that apply particularly well?
I think convenience business moves pretty fast compared to all the other business I was in, compared to cosmetics or to fashion retail. When you have a customer buying a lipstick or a piece of clothing, she doesn't come every day or many times a day. And what you see in convenience stores is that you are able to service the same customer many times a day for breakfast, for lunch, for afternoon snacks. So you have to turn around pretty quickly, and your store gets destroyed pretty fast. So we need to react even faster. And I've even worked in the grocery business for a while, and I thought that business were very fast-paced business. But when I came back to convenience business, I thought that that's the craziest business that I've ever worked in for the pace that we are in. And it's the more challenging, but at the same time, it is so rewarding because it moves fast, but you are able to make changes so fast and react really quickly. You don't have to wait a long time before you see the results of your actions. So that's really challenging, and really that's a good adrenaline, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. And then and thinking about you guys are obviously all star women in convenience because of the successes that you've had in the business. And I know it's hard to pin down one thing, but Leslie, what would you say? What's the secret to your success?
I think I'm very goal oriented. So I really do have a set of goals for myself, both personally and professionally, that I work towards. And it really acts as a check and balance for me. If I'm working on something, is it really a good use of my time? Is it really helping me achieve the things that I'm trying to achieve? So it also helps me. I really like to be efficient. So it helps me be efficient as well and not really waste time on things that aren't a good use of my time. And it also helps me focus when you have competing priorities and people, sometimes another person's priority is not your priority, and it really helps me keep on track that way. So I would say being goal oriented has really helped me for sure.
And Olga, what about you? What's the secret to your success, or how did you, any kind of secret ingredients to how you got to where you are today?
I think we've talked a lot about mentoring, and I mentioned interpersonal skills. And I think really that development of others serves as a really good motivator from my perspective. I spent the better part of my career working in an industry, yes, on the convenience side, but also the gas and oil sector, which, especially when I started, was heavily dominated by just men in that area. And I found that even though we had official mentoring programs, there really was a need at the time for really women just to get together and form a network. And that was something that was missing. So one of the programs that I launched at the time is a kind of an informal mentoring network for women, an opportunity for them to get together, grow in relationships, develop both on a personal and professional level. So looking back, I don't know if it's a secret of success, but certainly something that I'm proud of. Again, building on those interpersonal skills and those personal relationships to help others achieve their goals as well.
Great. Thank you for that. And since we're almost out of time, but I just thought in 30 seconds or less, I wanted to get a bit more personal and maybe ask you, it's been a strange year. So maybe can you share what keeps you motivated or keeps you going during these days? Maybe Robbie, do you want to weigh in first? If everyone could, well, I'll put this out to everybody so you have time to think about it.
I'm pretty excited every day to go to work, and even after all these years, I don't know too many of us that are. It's a joke in our group of women that you'll listen to them talk about their job, and some of them look at me and say, "Except for you, because you really like your job." And it is exciting every day to see my peers succeed, and it's sometimes it's just little baby steps, and it's something so trivial, but it's exciting to watch. And I look forward to another 20 years in the industry if they'll have me.
Great, thanks. And Lori, what about you? What keeps you going? What motivates you these days?
And thanks, Michelle. I'll unmute. And so it is challenging. And but whenever I'm experiencing challenges, I think of all of the frontline team members that we have and the challenges that they're facing every day operating in this environment and serving customers who are having their own challenges. So, kind of staying fresh to help them is really a key motivator on the business side. And then personally, what I try to do is make sure that the weekends look different than the weekdays, so that, there is some variety and some freshness there. Thank you.
And Leslie, what about you? What keeps you motivated these days?
Well, I've been volunteering on the board of directors for the Fort York Food Bank since 2019, and it's really been fulfilling to see. First of all, the need has increased by at least 3 times, but it's been fulfilling to see both individuals and corporations and the convenience industry really step up and help out in terms of financial donations and food donations, food drives, and even this event. The proceeds are going to the food banks of Canada. So that's been really motivating, and it really puts things in perspective when you see, yes, we're dealing with COVID, but there's other people dealing with COVID as well as food insecurity. So.
And Olga, what's your motivation for these days?
Yeah, we talked about it being a challenging year, which it certainly has, and driven different priorities and different objectives. But I still feel when something really comes together, whether it's a new product launch that we're working on, or a positive step in the growth of our brand, or something that the team is successful on, even a renovation, it's definitely motivation for me to keep going and to keep growing in this business that I really do enjoy.
Great. Helen, last but not least, can you weigh in on what keeps you going these days as we kind of wrap up 2020 and move towards 2021?
You know what I tell my children and my team is that nothing's permanent in life. When you go through a period and it's a tough period and you think you never get through it, I tell them nothing is permanent, so everything is temporary. So see through the tunnel, there is light at the end, and we'll go through this. And it's a great way to keep your head over the water and not to be drowned. So think that nothing is permanent, and I think it's really important to have balance, to keep the balance. And I agree with Lori that the weekend needs to look differently from the weekdays, because we need to keep our balance with our private life, our family, and all the things we have to oversee at work. And it's really important to stay healthy and take care of yourself, and keep some time for yourself to have this peace of mind, so you come back fresh on Monday morning and be ready for other challenges. So that's how I kept my motivation during this period.
Thanks very much. And thank you to all of our panelists today. We really appreciate you sharing your insights. We know how busy you are. We've added to your to-do list, but it's really important to hear your voices as strong women leaders in convenience. Thank you very much.